Retro City Rampage is a game that really came out of nowhere for me. Classic-looking arcade-style games are almost always a source of cheap, expendable fun, and this game can be played that way. However, if you take just a bit of time to really explore the game, you can easily find a few dozen hours of gameplay. Gameplay that goes beyond a simple top-down shooter to be so much more. For the pros, first we have humor. This game's best quality is its humor. Retro City Rampage makes fun of dozens of gaming, movie, and pop culture icons over the past few decades. In the first hour alone, you see a satirical reference to Batman, Back to the Future, Grand Theft Auto, Pokemon, Root Beer Tapper, and a few others. Hour 2 brings even more references, as do the following hours of gameplay. Most of these can make you chuckle to yourself, and a few are downright hilarious. Number 2, we have value. $15 may seem like a lot for a top-down arcade shooter, and if this were a more traditional one, I might agree with you. Thankfully, it's not traditional. This game offers you over 60 main story missions and 40 challenges that can be replayed. The way I play games, it would take me around 15 hours to complete this 100%, and the replay value would add another 5 hours. That's 20 hours of gameplay for $15. We've come to expect that from our big AAA titles that cost at least 4 times as much. That value for the money is pretty good. Third, we have fun. Some games are enjoyable because they're challenging. Others are enjoyable because they're new, or perhaps special in some way. It's becoming a rare thing that a game is fun simply by being wacky. Retro City Rampage accomplishes this. By being silly, it takes all of the serious stuff that we've come to expect from games and puts it all aside. It simply smiles at you with its big stupid grin and tells you joke after joke until you're rolling on the floor ready to pee on yourself. For the cons, controls. The biggest flaw in this game is its controls. It's controlled entirely by the arrow keys, WASD, and the spacebar. That sounds simple enough, but in practice it's a nightmare to learn. Oftentimes I'd find myself running, shooting, or jumping the wrong direction because the controls just aren't intuitive. It's hard to explain, but the learning curve for this game is steeper than it should be for the type of game and control scheme it is. The best way around the problem is to use a controller. Having 2 joysticks control your movement makes the game quite a bit easier and erases the learning curve. Otherwise, once you get used to it, you probably won't notice it at all. Humor. I know I said that this was a pro earlier, but the humor in this game can be a double-edged sword. If you're the type of gamer who only enjoys a serious game with real depth and story, then you should probably stay away from this. You won't appreciate all of the references, jokes, and silliness that is to be found at Retro City Rampage. Even if you do enjoy the humor, it sometimes can be a bit overbearing, so just be careful. In conclusion, I would say that this may be one of the most fun games I've ever played, at least in this genre. It's easy to pick up and play, cheap to buy, and a blast to top it off. I would say that this game is a must-buy for anyone with a good sense of humor and a few extra bucks to spend. It's as simple as that. Until my next review. Bye-bye now.